Alright, what is going on, everyone? First and foremost, I want to say thank you for being here right now, watching this video. I do really appreciate you for your time, and I'd really appreciate if you do consider subscribing, because it truly does help me out a lot. Now, we got Alex Pereira. Saw this on my YouTube feed, clicked on it, say, hey, why not? So, let's just break it down. So, Alex Pereira is levels above Jamahal Hill. Let's see this guy's opinion on it. And is Alex Pereira levels above Jamahal Hill? Who knows, bro? But at the end of the day, you're only bound to have at least a little bit of ring rust after being injured for that long and being outside of the ring, not being able to fight. But who knows, bro? You know, there's fighters. Pretty sure the average champion only fights once a year, so you get what I mean. Ring rust doesn't really seem to be a problem. You just want to be 100% at your game every time that you fight, making sure that you're 100% healthy, ready to fight at your best. So I don't know, man, but this is a tough one, bro. It'll be a pretty good fight for UFC 300, but without further ado, let's just quit the yapping and play the video.
Event for UFC 300. And I think a very important takeaway we should all have after going through this entire saga of witnessing the construction of this card is how important it is to keep people's expectations low. Because the way Dana White hyped UFC 300 up, how could he possibly have not disappointed people? I mean, the way he was talking about this event, you'd think we were about to witness the second coming of Christ. When talking about the main event, Dana White said himself that it was going to blow everyone's mind. Now, the only issue there is, what would actually blow my mind? The only one I could think of is Conor Khabib 2. If he came out there and said we're getting a Conor Khabib rematch, okay, mind blown.
I'm not gonna lie, a lot of people were expecting Conor McGregor to fight at UFC 300. So a lot of people were very disappointed that they didn't get to see that for UFC 300. So now people think Conor McGregor is never really gonna fight. But who knows, man? But at the end of the day, Alex Pereira versus Jamahal Hill, still a very, very good main event, very good fight, but left a lot of people very, very disappointed because they would expect something better. But UFC 300 is a very, very stacked card, so I'm not complaining, man. But let's keep going.
What else is there? So why even say that? But if I were to put all of this aside and just judge the card for what it is, it's an amazing card. It is absolutely amazing. I'm sure, as some of you know, I think the BMF title is fucking gross. I would have much rather had Max versus Gaethje as just a 3-rounder on the main card. Or, hell, make it a 5-round fight on the main card. I mean, if Dana White can just make up belts whenever he wants, then he can put as many rounds on whatever fight he wants. And then put Leon versus Bellamir as the co-main. I think that would have elevated the card even more. But as long as the BMF title isn't taking the main event spot, okay, I'll get over it. I'll stop complaining. Because the main event we do have between Alex Pereira versus Jamahal Hill is solid. I mean, it's super, super solid. I don't know anybody who doesn't like to watch Alex Pereira fight. But there are some...
To be honest, I don't even know why people hate on the BMF bout. It's just, at the end of the day, it's another opportunity. You get what I mean? And Dana White doesn't just hand out the belt to anyone. Before Justin Gaethje even had it, only one person ever had the belt, bro. And, you know, he basically retired. And it was just like, you know, Dana White didn't give it to anybody else until, hey, we need this event. Justin Gaethje versus Dustin Poirier. Baddest guys in the UFC. At the moment, why not give him a shot at the BMF title? Because they clearly can't win a real UFC championship belt. So it's like, you know, like, why not give them the opportunity to win a BMF belt? Because all their performances end in a blood bash, bro. Like, you know, they give the fans what they want. every single time. They give the fans what they want to see every single time. So it's just like, yeah, man, but not sure why people hate on the BMF belt. I think it's pretty good, especially when fighters are fighting for it. It gives them a lot more drive to win or put on a performance. So I'm not really hating on it, but and at the end of the day, Dana White can do what he wants, bro. You get what I mean? You don't own the organization, bro. Dana White can do what he wants, bro, and it's just like, yeah, man, it is what it is, but let's keep going.
Very interesting variables going into this fight. Probably the most interesting of which is that Jamahal Hill ruptured his Achilles this last July. That gives him a 9-month gap in between that and this fight. But in all honesty, more like a 7-month gap, because he has to get into training camp. So that gives room for speculation. Is Hill completely healed, or is the UFC just throwing a bag at him in order to make this main event happen? That's anybody's guess. And mix in the fact that Alex Pereira has the best leg kicks in the sport. And all of a sudden, it seems like a really tough fight for Hill. But, funny enough, I've actually been seeing a decent amount of people picking Jamahal Hill to win this fight. And I think it's pretty easy to tell why. For one, a healthy Jamahal Hill is 100% a dangerous fight for Alex Pereira. And that's because the one thing that sets Jamahal Hill apart from everybody else is his speed and his boxing. Primarily his boxing combinations. Hill is super quick and he has really good head movement. He'll slide just out of range of your punches and then blitz in with a 3, 4, 5 punch combination. His fight with Thiago Santos was something truly to behold. Santos, as we know, is known for his power. But Jamahal was just fearless against him. He was lunging in with these wild strikes, leaving himself pretty open at times. And in fact, he was getting tagged pretty cleanly, but he was just eating it and returning. The finishing sequence of that fight was absolutely insane. Hill is just choosing to stand right in the pocket with him, lighting him up. Thiago Santos is throwing these huge winging hooks, and he's landing them. But Jamal's just eating them, throwing back, eventually breaking him. Santos just collapses. I mean, Jamahal has a serious chin on him. He didn't seem wobbled or hurt from any of these shots. But he's also super well-rounded. He's got really good high kicks. I mean, he had Glover on skates with these high kicks he was landing. Really good takedown defense, which I don't think is going to play a huge factor in this fight. But also very, very little takedown offense from Hill, which probably will play a big factor in this fight. But the other huge variable when it comes to this specific matchup is that Jamahal Hill is always the one pressuring his opponent. He likes to hold the center and walk guys down. And as we've seen in the past, Pereira will allow himself to get backed up. And that's where I think people are picking Jamahal Hill in this fight. The one thing we know about Alex Pereira is he is hittable. From his fights with Yuri and Adesanya, and hell, even Bruno Silva, you can hit him.
I'm not gonna lie, that is true, but at the end of the day, that huge mistake that he made with Adesanya, bro, he's not gonna let it happen again. You get what I mean? Just know he's not gonna let it happen again, bro. He became Adesanya's punching bag, bro. Literally, bro. Like, he fell into a trap, and he's just like, it's a real learning. Just know, I'm not gonna spend too much time yapping on this, but just know it's a real learning situation for him. And that's probably why Adesanya is still ducking this guy, bro. I don't even know, I couldn't say, but Adesanya is ducking this guy for a reason, bro. Adesanya knows he can't trap him like that again. Alex is not gonna fall for it. But let's keep going.
And one thing specifically I've heard people say is that if you get Pereira backed up to the fence, his boxing defense is awkward. He kind of puts his arms up and out, and is almost kind of reaching, and he's very vulnerable there. So, to a lot of people, this makes perfect sense. Jamahal Hill, really high-level boxer, good combinations, and he's always marching his opponents down. If he gets Alex Pereira pushed up against the fence, he'll be able to take advantage of Alex's awkward boxing defense, being able to land punches, and even if Pereira does find counters, as we've seen in the past, Jamahal Hill will eat these winging overhands and still be okay. And of course, this scenario I just laid out, of course it's possible. You don't need me to tell you this. But if Jamahal Hill lands right on the end of Alex Pereira's chin, he's going to go to sleep, right? It's just human anatomy, and of course that's always a factor. But the people making the argument that Alex's boxing defense is awkward, I don't think they're understanding what he's doing. And I think Jamahal Hill eating those winging overhands from Thiago Santos is completely irrelevant here. And let me tell you why. Look at this clip from Alex's fight with Yuri. Yuri has him pressured up against the fence. And yeah, to the layman, it may seem that Alex is being real awkward here. His hands are up, he doesn't have a guard up, he seems very hittable. But the reason he's doing this is because it is not his style to shell up. Right now, right here, Pereira is looking for counters. And his left hook does not take any windup. That's why he has his arms out and forward. He's looking to land really short hooks. And yes, in this moment, he is more hittable, but that's because he is sacrificing his defense in order to find counters. And yes, in this specific sequence, Yuri got the better of the exchange because he baited Alex's counters and then landed immediately after. But just a few minutes later, they end up in that exact same sequence. Yuri tags him, he backs Pereira up against the fence, but Pereira doesn't shell up. He keeps his arms out, lands the short uppercut, and then hook drops Yuri and then finishes the fight. And that's what makes Pereira so dangerous in this matchup in particular. It may not seem like it, but these wild, huge hooks are not nearly as devastating as Pereira's short hooks. And this may seem counterintuitive because of the amount of torque going into Santos' punches. But let me give you a little boxing lesson. Notice the way that Santos is falling back as he's winging that punch. He's not planted, he's not sitting on the punch, and therefore it's losing a lot of power. And the reason he's throwing like that is because he's getting overwhelmed and he's getting desperate. And then look at this left hook KO by Pereira. It's so much shorter, so much less windup, but he's putting his entire body behind it. And because there's less windup means he can be way more accurate, and he lands it right on the money. Same exact thing with Yuri. Really short punch, Yuri didn't see it coming.
But yeah, man, I'm gonna end this video here. Me personally, I'm picking Alex Pereira to beat Jamahal Hill. At the end of the day, it will be a good fight. You never really know what might happen simply because it is the UFC. And anything could happen, so you never really know. But me personally, I'd pick Alex Pereira to win. It's not like Alex Pereira can't take a punch, bro. He can take a punch right on the chin, but it's like when it's directly on the chin, like super, super hard, like with 100% power, like he's gonna go out. You get what I mean? He's not one of those guys who just can't be knocked out and whatnot, but it's very difficult to catch him, is what I'm saying. It's very difficult to catch him, especially when he learned from his mistake, from what he pretty much fell into with Adesanya. It's just like, he's not trying to let that happen again. But I do see Alex Pereira eventually catching Jamahal Hill with one of his hooks. But Alex Pereira does have stone hands and his kicks are devastating. But I'm not going to downplay Jamahal Hill's skills and whatnot. But at the end of the day, man, Alex Pereira does have the skills and energy to take it to the full 5 rounds, even if he has to. He's not just focusing on a knockout. You get what I mean? If a knockout is good, like he has knockout power. You get what I mean? If he catches you, he catches you. And that's just the way the game goes. But at the end of the day, bro, he trains for 5 rounds, bro. He's always ready for 5 rounds. He has the energy for 5 full rounds, bro. By all means necessary. And yeah, man, he doesn't always just focus on that one left hook. If he has to beat you by decision, he's gonna pull it off. But without further ado, man, gonna end the video here. Let me know what you guys think, and peace out.